Hi and welcome. We are the Neurodiverse family from the UK. There's Ash. I'm Martin, our oldest son who likes to be called Monkey. Our middle son, Woggy Bear, and our young terror, Tumbleboy. Followed by our angel in the sky, Barney Bear, who we love and miss every day. Our pet dog, Mason, and our pet pony, Mika. Hello and welcome. If you're new to my vlogs, this is my second ever vlog. Today I'm travelling from Dublin to New York's John F. Kennedy Airport with Icelandair via Reykjavik in Iceland. If you watched yesterday's vlog, which was my pre-travel day going from Manchester over to Dublin, welcome back and I'm glad you're joining me again on this new travel vlog. So as I said, today it is travel day and I am super excited. I've waited a long time to get back stateside again and today it's happening. So today I'm off to New York for the weekend. So I'm going to spend the weekend in New York, Friday today, getting there Friday evening, and then I'm going to leave on Monday evening with Icelandair, taking the same route back through Iceland and then back onto Dublin, and then I'll fly Ryanair back to Manchester. Well, as I'm making my way to the airport, let me share some of the details with you. So Ash did get me a Go New York City pass, valid for 2 days, which I'm going to use Saturday and Sunday. So make sure you tune in to tomorrow's vlog where I'll show you any of the attractions in New York that I go and visit. And I'll take you along to show you everything and give you a tour of the place. Well, check-in opened last night for Icelandair, so I did do online check-in using the mobile phone app, put my passport details in, and it has given me a boarding pass. So when I get to Terminal 1, I just need to visit bag drop and drop my bag off. Yesterday's vlog, I did tell you about my 4-step plan that I break down as we go through the airport. If you haven't watched yesterday's vlog, don't worry, I'm going to share that with you now. When you're neurodiverse or you have a form of hidden disability or anxiety, transiting through the airport can become a very challenging and overwhelming experience without other people realising. Breaking down your travel day can actually mean that it doesn't appear as overwhelming to you. Rather than thinking you've got all these different things from when you check in all the way through to when you get your bags at the arrival airport, that can seem very overwhelming for some people and it can become a real challenge. So I recommend breaking it down into small little plans. So the first plan we have today is about getting onto the aircraft on time. So step one is we're going to go into Terminal 1, locate the Icelandair bag drop desk, and I'm going to drop my bag off. Step two, I'm going to then go through the security checkpoint, wear my sunflower lanyard, and proceed down to special assistance. Step three, when in departures, I'm going to get any drinks and snacks I want for my flight, and I'm going to share with you how to get the cheapest cup of tea in Dublin Airport. They're normally free, £4 a drink. I'm going to show you how to get 2 drinks, including one that'll take me all the way to Iceland for €1.50, or even less potentially. Anyway, last step of the plan is making sure we get to the boarding gate at least 30 minutes prior to departure. That way we can ensure we get on board and we're not offloaded. So we're just a few moments away now from parking up here at Dublin Terminal 1 at the coach stand. We're going to stop at coach stand number 16. As we reverse into the parking bay, that can only mean one thing. It's time to go. Here we go. I've got my check bag, I've got my hand baggage, I've got everything with me, so now it's time to get inside the terminal and I am excited. Nearly there. Icelandair to Reykjavik is zone 4. Well, that's me through security now. It took me 5 minutes to get through. I went down special assistance with my sunflower lanyards and I honestly can't complain. Straight down I went and within 5 minutes I was through. Thank you to the security personnel at the security checkpoint here in Dublin Terminal 1. It's such a shame because my experience of Dublin Airport this morning is mixed reviews. Fantastic time through security there, very quick, very polite, great staff. However, before I actually got to security and before I got to bag drop, I was approached by 2 security personnel who came over asking me what I was doing. I explained I was making a travel vlog, making my way over to the Icelandair check-in desk to drop my bag off. They then approached me saying, you shouldn't be filming. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll switch my camera off, no problem. No restrictions over filming. If you tell me I'm not allowed, that's fine with me, I'll stick it off. They told me to refrain from filming until I got past the security checkpoint, which is why I'm filming now. So I'm not being able to show you check-in. That was purely because I was told not to. Sadly, these two security personnel employed by the airport were very intimidating and very aggressive. I was asked repeatedly the same questions over and over again, and no matter how many times I explained the same answer, they kept asking me over and over again. This lasted over the course of a few minutes, where one of them did take my passport, go off, and when they returned, they then let me go my way. I then proceeded to the check-in desk. When I dropped my bag off, I was given a new boarding pass with the 4 S's on my boarding pass, telling me I'm in for an enhanced security check either here in Dublin or when I get over to Iceland. Well, I'm not letting the two security bozos spoil my day. It's travel day. I'm going to New York. I want to have a great weekend, so I'm past that. I'm through security now. It's time to get on. Anyway, we're passing WH Smith. You've got WH Smith, you've got In Motion, you've got a boot store, and there's also a Guinness store and an Irish rugby store. Now, I'm going to pop in here now. I'm going to get a couple of drinks. I'm going to make a drink for now that I can have when I'm walking through the airport. I'm going to make a drink for when I'm on the flight up to Iceland. I'm not a fan of plain tea. It's often got a metal taste in it because the kettles are never cleaned that well. So I'm going to show you how to get 2 drinks here for €1. So are you ready? Let's go. As I said, I'm going to make 2 drinks. So I'm going to get one of these paper cups, and then I've got the big metal cup here, which I'm going to fill up for on the flight over to Iceland. So what I do is I bring my own tea bags with me. There's nothing like the taste of Tetley tea. I then make myself a couple of drinks. I then use the milk here that's available. I go to the till and I tell them that I've had hot water and milk. They'll charge me 50 cents for each milk portion, so I'll pay €1 in total, which means that I get 2 drinks, which is going to take me over the course of the next 3 hours for €1. I tend to only really enjoy Tetley tea, so this allows me to have my consistent flavour. It's good for the environment because I'm reusing my own cup, so I'm not putting additional paper or plastics into the garbage. And lastly, it's good for my wallet because I'm going to spend €1 for 2 drinks, which will take me all the way up to Iceland. So there's a Guinness shop that is closed at present, and here we do have Nomad, which has some seating. They offer a range of breakfast and afternoon sandwiches. Street Kitchen, I think, are quite similar, and again, you can get various bites to eat and take it to the seats around here and watch the planes go by. Just to the right of me, there is like a bit of it's similar to like a Starbucks. It offers a range of hot drinks, some alcoholic drinks, and there's also a range of pastries and cakes. And again, you can grab what you want and then just sit here like these lovely people are doing and looking at watching the planes go by before you make your way to your boarding gate. Many neurodiverse people do like consistency in the food, and for many kids and teenagers and adults, they actually enjoy McDonald's and Burger King for the consistency. So I'm going to take you upstairs and I'll show you. There is a Burger King upstairs on the first level, and there's also the Terrace, which is a bar and restaurant. Be sure to tell me in the comments, where would you pick to fly? Well, let's make our way upstairs and I'll show you what's available on the first floor. It's very small up here, it's not a large space, but they do have some public toilets, they do have a Burger King, and they do have the garden, terrace and outdoor smoking bar. So I'll show you that anyway, and then we'll be nipping downstairs and making our way down to gate 102 for my first flight of 2 on my way to New York, New York, New York. Apologies about the singing, I'm excited. Anyway, let's make our way into the garden terrace and I'll show you the outdoor bar. The garden terrace offers a range of hot and cold drinks, alcoholic drinks, and a range of pub food. I'll step outside and I'll show you the outdoor smoking area. It's quite a large space out here for smoking or vaping. Well, I'm going to make my way down now to gate 102. It's 75 minutes before my flight is due to depart. I know from experience when I've seen Icelandair at Manchester, they're on the runway at the departure time and not still at the gate like many airlines. It would help if I can go down the right side, wouldn't it? Anyway, let's make my way down to gate 102 and hopefully the flight won't be boarding and I can use the pre-boarding announcement. But we'll see when we get there anyway. So once I get to the boarding gate, that will conclude my 4-step plan. So I'm then going to make another plan to make the next part of the process not seem as daunting. So step 1 is obviously passing through the boarding gate, showing my boarding pass and my passport. Step 2 is getting on board and locating my seat. Step 3 is getting anything out of my bag that I need for my flight and then putting my bag either in the overhead locker above me or underneath the seat in front of me. And step 4 is getting in my seat with my seatbelt securely fastened. It is a trek down to the gate area. It takes about 10 minutes, so I'll set my camera off and put it back on shortly. Welcome back. I didn't see the point in making you watch me walk all the way down there, because that walkway gives Gatwick South Terminal a good run for its money. So as we're getting down here, here's somewhere to get a nice juice, and on the left we've got W.H. Smith, and right over there on the right hand side we've got gate 102, which I can see they are actually boarding already, so I'm going to board with everyone else, and hopefully there'll be some overhead locker space available for me, and worst case scenario I'll stick it underneath the seat in front of me. Well, I'm so excited for my trip, I really can't wait. At the same time, I've never flown with Icelandair before, so it's a new experience, it's a new airline, and as much as I've flown on the Boeing 737 before, I've not flown on the MAX 8 or the MAX 9, which has been known to have problems. So there we can just see over there our Icelandair 737 aircraft, which will take us over to Reykjavik. Now, I did check on Flight Radar earlier, it did tell me that when I change aircraft in Iceland, if it's correct, I'll be going back on exactly the same aircraft that's took me from Dublin. I'll have to deboard, go into the departure lounge, and then board the aircraft again.
You going to New York?
I am, yes.
You need to sign your passport, okay?
Okay, no problem. Do you want me to do it now or?
No,
Okay.
before you go to New York.
Okay, thank you. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Right, it's time to board the first flight of two. This one's going to take me over to Reykjavik in Iceland. So I'm keen to see what the culture is like on board. When I used to fly with Norwegian long haul, they were very cultural and they would tell you about special events in Norway. They would tell you about historic days in Norway, and they would tell you it's over the PA. Anything they had, like special events and stuff, they'd often let you try it as well, so you can actually experience their culture, and it was fantastic to be on board. So Norwegian aren't going anymore, the long haul sector of it. COVID killed that. So I'm keen to see what Icelandair is. Are they just a plain regular airline, or do they really promote their culture and tourism in Iceland? So we're going to get on board and we'll see what it's like. And there she is, our 737 MAX 8. Icelandair named their aircraft, and I'm not even going to try pronouncing that because I'll get it wrong. Excuse me. Your bag's open at the back?
Oh yeah, I totally
Just
did
making
it.
sure you're well, yeah. Seeing this livery up close, it is miles better than the old one. The only one it doesn't beat is Heckler Order, which they painted the 757 in the Northern Lights scheme. But this scheme here is absolutely great, and I've seen it in pink on pictures and it looks amazing. I'm hoping to see it in Reykjavik today and see what it's actually like. So last chance to see some sun here, because when we get to Iceland, no doubt it's going to be white right over the ground. Well, let's hope that it won't take long to get on board, and then I'll get my seat and get my GoPro on the window so I can record as much of today's flight for you as possible. Now, I did have some memory card issues last night, so I'm hoping not to have any problems again today. So fingers crossed we make it. Well, let's step on board and see what the new sky interior is like on board this Boeing 737 MAX 8. Before reaching the economy cabin, we do pass through the Icelandair Premium cabin, which they refer to as Saga Premium, and these are Icelandair's version of first class. Come with 2 checked bags, a carry-on bag, alongside meals and drinks throughout the flight, premium security and lounge access.
Dear passengers, welcome aboard. Please consider other passengers waiting outside the stairs in the stove. If you need to sort out your luggage before taking your seats, we kindly ask you to step out of the aisle and let passengers behind you pass. Please place your large items in the overhead compartment and handbags or laptops under the seat in front of you. Thank you for your cooperation and securing the on-time departure.
Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Sowers, S-O-W-E-R.
And here's my seat up to Iceland. Reasonable leg room, looks alright, and in-flight entertainment. Seatbelt on.
Good morning, dear passengers. Welcome on board this Icelandair aircraft named Lautrabjarg. The estimated flying time, 2 hours and 10 minutes. Our pilot in command, Magnus Brynjarsson. My name is Sigrid Arna and I'm the supervisor on this flight. All hand luggage shall be well placed under the seat in front of you or in the overhead compartment. And if you are seated in an exit row, hand luggage shall only be secured in the overhead compartment, both for takeoff and landing. And please fasten your seatbelt. Have your seat back, footrest, armrest and tray table in a locked position. And window shades are open at this time. Use of electronic devices is permitted in flight mode. And this is a non-smoking flight. And that includes electronic cigarettes. Shortly, we would like to have your attention concerning your safety on board. Thank you for choosing Icelandair and we wish you a pleasant flight.
For Icelandair, your safety on board is most important. Please pay close attention to the following information. Place your carry-on item or under the seat in front of you. No stowage of carry-on items is allowed by the exits. Fasten your seatbelt and keep it fastened and visible whenever seated or when the seatbelt sign is on. We'll provide extension seatbelts for infants. During takeoff and landing, have your seat back, footrest, armrest and tray table in a locked position. Mobile phones and any other electrical devices must be turned off or set to flight mode. Please study the safety instruction cards placed in the seat pocket in front of you. This Boeing 737 aircraft has 8 emergency exits. Forward and aft exits are equipped with evacuation slides and overwing exits with escape paths. Passengers seated by an overwing exit must be willing and able to assist in case of an emergency. Please observe that the nearest exit might be located behind you. Emergency lighting, including low-level lighting, indicates the way to the exits. In the unlikely event of an emergency landing, assume the brace position. In an emergency, proceed to the nearest usable exit and leave all carry-on items behind. To speed up evacuation, jump onto the slide and move away from the aircraft. Your life jacket is in a compartment above your seat. Put the life jacket over your head, fasten the belt in front and pull to adjust. When leaving the aircraft, inflate your life jacket by pulling the tab down or blowing into the tube. We will supply life jackets for infants. If the aircraft has landed on water, life rafts are close to or at the exits. Please note that the aft emergency exits shall not be used on water. If there's a change of air pressure in the cabin, oxygen masks will be released from a compartment above your seat. To start the flow of oxygen, pull down the mask nearest to you, place it over your nose and mouth, and breathe normally. If traveling with a child, place a mask on yourself first, before assisting the child. On behalf of Icelandair, we wish you a safe and pleasant journey.
Well, that's the pushback tug now leaving the aircraft, so in the next few minutes we'll begin taxiing to the runway here at Dublin. I believe it'll be runway 28 we'll be going from. Now that safety demonstration, I have to say, it was amazing. I'm not a big fan of safety demonstrations, but I have to say I did actually enjoy the Icelandair one. It was actually promoting the culture and promoting about Iceland to you, so it's not just using kids or little animations. The last in-flight safety video was the Virgin America one. That was amazing. Well, I'm glad I got to the gate in plenty of time. My flight was due to depart at 11:30 and it is actually 11:10 now. So we're actually now taxiing to the runway 20 minutes ahead of our departure time. So I'm feeling that at 11:30 we'll either be ready to go or we might actually be even airborne. All being well, air traffic control would give us the quickest direct route to the runway, so it reduced our taxi time, which I anticipate to be around 5 or 10 minutes this morning. So like I say, maybe by 11:30 we might be airborne or we might be ready to go. So let's see how we go anyway, and we'll take a tour around Dublin as we make our way to the active runway. In yesterday's vlog, I shared with you the condition of the toilet seat in my Hilton room last night and how dissatisfied I was this morning when I became aware of it. And obviously my legs have been left really irritant and really sore as a result of whatever was on that toilet seat. I did mention it when I checked out of the hotel and I said to him, look, this is what's happened. I wasn't aware. I used the toilet this morning. I've gone and noticed what's went on. I've looked at my legs and they're an absolute mess. They've been really bothered and I've had a skin reaction to whatever that was. Alright, we do apologise about it. We'll make sure that's changed before the next guest checks into the room. I says, well, you're going to offer me any resolution? Well, we're going to change the toilet seat over and we can only apologise for that. For me, it's a health and safety issue, but they didn't seem that bothered and they just couldn't wait to get rid of me, rather than actually saying, look, we do apologise, we'd like to compensate you by doing this. They weren't even interested about what pain or discomfort I was in today. When I return to the UK next week, I will be picking this up with Hilton as I was really dissatisfied, and I'll see what resolution they offer, if any. And I'll be sure to delay posting my hotel review for the Hilton Dublin Airport Hotel until such time matters are concluded and I can share with you what happened between me and Hilton and whether any resolution was offered. So we've now started to taxi again and we should be moments away from the runway 28, I believe it is, which will be for a straight out departure. So as we can see just ahead of us there is a Lufthansa Airbus A320 which is bound for Frankfurt. So that takes just over 2 hours to get there and it's quite a similar flight time, 2 hours. So I would assume that'll be arriving down in Germany as we're getting into Iceland, give or take. As we approach the threshold for runway 28, right, we can see the Lufthansa is next in line to go and we are number 2 for departure. As the Lufthansa makes its way down runway 28 right, ready to climb off for Germany, we are now going to position ourselves onto runway 28 right, ready for departure. Well, with the great lighting today, you can actually see a silhouette of our aircraft here on the taxiway and as we enter the runway. So we'll see how that remains with us as we take off and how far into the sky we get before our little silhouette disappears. Well, it's 11:29 AM and our flight is due to depart at 11:30, so in 1 minute's time we'll be in the air and that'll show how on time and how punctual Icelandair is. So as we make our way down the runway here, we can see we've got a silhouette of the aircraft on the runway. The power of the engines give you that throw back in your seat effect, and we're now actually gaining quite a bit of speed as we rocket down the runway here, ready before we start climbing into the air. So part of the trip down the runway involves a point of where we are committed to take off. So just around now, the pilot who's not flying the aircraft will be calling it the command V1, and the pilot who's flying the aircraft will be doing a final check, and then we'll be getting to the right speed and we start lifting off like we are now. So we're going to start coming out of Dublin. Off here from the runway, we're going to see our silhouette aircraft on the ground for maybe about 2 minutes, and then it'll start to disappear. The more altitude we gain, the smaller that's going to get before it disappears. So we can see that over there on the right hand side we've got the town of Navan, and in about 5 minutes time we'll be seeing Sligo on the right hand side, at which point we'll just be a couple minutes away from going on to the North Atlantic Ocean. Our routing out of Dublin today will be taking a westerly approach right across Ireland, routing towards Sligo, and after we approach Sligo, a couple minutes later we'll be going on to the North Atlantic Ocean. Then shortly afterwards we're making a right turn, which will then give us a northwesterly direction towards Iceland. As we continue our route out of Dublin, I want to share more details with you about what to expect on Icelandair. When you fly in economy cabin, no meals or snacks are provided. However, free tea, coffee, water and soft drinks are available during normal bar service, and you can use your in-flight screen to request another drink at any point. Alcohol beverages, snacks and light meals can be purchased from the onboard bar. The crew will be coming round very soon to offer a bar service where you can purchase alcohol beverages, snacks and meals, or enjoy complimentary tea, coffee, water or soft drinks. If you're flying in Saga Premium, then your meals and your alcohol drinks are included in your fare. However, given the price difference, I'm happy to fly economy over to New York today, save the money and put it towards another trip. Well, now's a good time to look at what did we think of Icelandair so far. I know we're only a few minutes into flight, but there's various things with Icelandair I've been doing in advance. So when you're neurodiverse, you don't pay for baggage and you don't pay for your seat allocation. You can contact the airline and they will give you a medical seat and they will give you medical baggage without any additional cost. So prior to flying, I did contact Icelandair, and the first person I spoke to Icelandair really didn't know what I was talking about. They knew very little. They were inexperienced. So I disconnected the chat, and then I started the chat again with someone else, and I got someone who knew all about it. So I turned around and said, I'm neurodiverse and I need to get medical baggage and medical seating. They allocated me a seat, which I'm in today, and I'm having the same seat when I fly on to New York this afternoon, and then it's the same again when I fly back on Monday. When Icelandair gave me the seat allocation, they did actually send me an invoice which was then credited free of charge, and the invoice was for £214, which was just for allocating my seat on 4 flights, so Dublin to Reykjavik, Reykjavik to New York, and then New York back to Reykjavik and back to Dublin. That was £214 just to select your seat. And I think in these days and ages, airlines are ripping us off left, right and centre. So if you're neurodiverse or you have any form of hidden disability or any disability that would impact your flying, it makes sense to contact the airline in advance and check what accommodations they're going to make for you, because then the baggage that they charge you is £75 each way. So when you put that together, they would have wanted another £364 for my bag and for my seats, which actually is probably similar to what the flight cost. So you're spending the same amount of money on the extras as what you are just to actually get the seat, which seems crazy to me because I weigh more than a bag, and what the charge on bag is just half of the airfare, and it seems crazy, it really does, but that's how airlines make money. So I'm all about looking at ways on how I can save money, and that's one of the things I do use. Now obviously if you are travelling through the airport with a hidden disability, you can notify your airline and they can put in the code on your booking, which is DPNA, which is disabled passenger with intellectual or development disability may require assistance, and that will mean that anyone who's dealing with you at the airline and stuff, they'll be a bit more accommodating and understand there might be additional breaks, or you might present yourself a bit differently to someone who's not neurodiverse or doesn't suffer a hidden disability. So as you can see, that's us now approaching Sligo on the right hand side, and we're just moments away now from entering the North Atlantic Ocean. So you can see the ocean's coming into view now. At present, our westerly direction will be routing us right across to the USA, but once we get onto the Atlantic, we'll be making a right hand turn, which will give us a more northerly direction towards Keflavik. In around 2 hours time we should be ready on our approach to Keflavik Airport, ready for landing. Well, my seat is very comfortable for it being an economy class seat. It's much better than many flights I've been on before with Ryanair, EasyJet especially, because their seats are not padded whatsoever, but this is a much better seat. It's maybe not the best, but it's going to take me all the way to New York and I don't think I'll have any major problems. Well, I believe there is more than ample enough legroom. I'm not going to be cramped for space whatsoever, and someone a bit taller than me might manage to actually have a flight without worrying about DVT because the legroom is very ample. Well, I'm 5'10" and I can't complain about the legroom, and I think the seat width is about 22 inches. Well, now's a good time to have a look at the onboard entertainment. The cabin crew have now just been released to perform their duties, so in the next few minutes they'll be coming through the cabin with drinks and refreshments available to purchase. So let's have a look at this in-flight screen and let's see what's available entertainment-wise on this Icelandair flight. Well, let's take a look at the in-flight entertainment. Now, one of the things is before you can actually use the entertainment, it does come on with some adverts promoting Iceland, and it's quite similar to the safety demonstration. That was all about showing you different areas of Iceland. It seems very cultured to me, which is much better than anything we've got here in Britain. Virgin will show you all different destinations, just promoting they fly there, without showing you anything the country has to offer.
Welcome aboard. We hope you enjoy flying with Icelandair. From boarding to arrival, we do our best to make your flight a comfortable one. In a moment, food and beverages will be served, followed by tea and coffee.
Drinks can also be ordered during the flight from our in-flight bar. Coffee, tea, soft drinks and water are all complimentary, but there is a charge for alcoholic beverages in economy class. Please check your in-flight magazine for selection and prices, and have your money or credit card ready to pay for your order.
All of our seats are equipped with adjustable footrests and headrests, and an advanced entertainment and information system. Hours of films, television programs, games and audio can be easily accessed through the touchscreen in front of you. Just plug your headset into the front of the armrest and adjust the volume on the screen. Our reading light, cooling air vent and service call button are located above your seat.
Icelandair Saga Club operates a frequent flyer program for Icelandair customers. You can apply on board and immediately start earning award points on all scheduled Icelandair flights.
You can also shop on board in our duty-free Saga Boutique, with the Saga Boutique brochure in the seat pocket in front of you. If you're a member in our Icelandair Saga Club, you'll receive Saga Club points with your purchase.
We will be landing in Icelandair's home airport in Keflavik. If you're continuing on, further information regarding connecting flights can be found on the television monitors inside the terminal, or from one of our Icelandair ground crew.
Citizens of countries outside the European Union and the European Economic Area must fill in a landing card for immigration inspection. Passengers traveling in Saga class are welcome to relax in the privacy of the Saga Lounge. Please consider supporting Icelandair's Special Children's Fund. With your help, we can make it possible for children suffering long-term illnesses or other difficult circumstances to take their dream journey. You can make a difference for these children and their families by making a contribution in the special envelope in the seat pocket in front of you and hand it to the cabin crew when you leave the aircraft. Thank you and have a nice journey.
Well, I'm not sure that I'd like to go into the Blue Lagoon in the middle of winter when it's cold, but anyway, here comes Explore All of Iceland. This is Fly Over Iceland, and it looks very similar to Soarin' in Walt Disney World. Whilst the cabin crew take care of the premium passengers, I've ordered myself a cheese and ham baguette, and I'm just waiting for that too. The cheese and ham baguette looks about 12 inches, so a nice foot long, and it cost me £9 on board. If I'm correct, it's £7 via the mobile app. So if I'm able to, I'm going to probably order one for Monday if they're...
Dear passengers, we at Icelandair think keeping old Icelandic traditions alive is great fun. Today marks the beginning of Þorri, which is a mid-winter festival that takes place in the 4th month of winter, according to the old Icelandic calendar. The first day of Þorri is called Bóndadagur, and is dedicated to all men. In celebration of Bóndadagur, we would like to offer you a taste of our old Icelandic haggis with turnip puree. We hope you'll enjoy.
Well, I think I'll pass on the haggis. It's not my thing, but it's a very nice thing that Icelandair are doing, is sharing their traditions, and they're coming around the cabin offering anyone a piece who would like it, but today I think I'll pass on the haggis. I might be Scottish, but I'm not a fan of haggis of any sort. Well, as we make our way up towards Iceland, we're on the North Atlantic Ocean and we're about 90 minutes away from landing in Keflavik. So in about 70 minutes time they will begin preparing the aircraft for landing and the seatbelt signs will go on as we make our initial descents towards Keflavik. Presently we're at 38,000 feet and I reckon once we get down to about 8 or 10,000 feet, subject to the sky being clear, we'll actually get to look at what the snow is like in Iceland, over the hills, over the ground, and get an idea of what the country is actually looking like in the middle of winter, because it does look spectacular in pictures. I recommend using a 4-step plan whenever you're passing through the airport, and it helps reduce travel anxieties. Now normally when you land in an airport you're going and collecting your baggage and you're exiting the airport to go on to your final destination. However, today in Keflavik I am actually going to be connecting flights, so I'll be collecting my bags when I get to New York, not when I'm in Iceland. Therefore it's a slightly different 4-step plan. So step 1 will be gathering all the personal belongings that I've got with me once we get on stand and exiting the aircraft. Step 2 will be locating what area my next flight is going to go from. Step 3 will be getting any drinks and snacks I want from a flight, and step 4 will be getting back to the boarding gate on time and ready to board my next flight.
Is about to depart. Oliver Wilson.
Oliver!
Oliver! Oliver!
Oliver!
Have you spotted Mr. Wilson?
Are you Oliver? No.
Oliver! Not here.
Oliver! Oliver Wilson! Hey.
Oliver Wilson? Your flight's leaving.
So, are you excited to see Paris?
Well, I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I did. Oliver Wilson not being at his flight on time because he found Iceland so spectacular is a great video that promotes the country and the culture of Iceland and not the airline. Icelandair gave you the ability to stop over on the way to North America, so taking a connecting flight from one of the European airports that they fly from, landing in Keflavik and then stopping for anything to 1 to 5 days before connecting your flight onto North America or Canada. Equally, you can do this on the return sector of your flight, or you can do it on both the outbound and return sector. The only condition is, in order to have the free stopover in Iceland, you must book directly with Icelandair and not through a third party. A third party will most likely only give you the ability to take a direct flight and not a stopover flight. On the Icelandair website and on the Icelandair app, there is the ability to select a stopover on your outbound, your return, or both. There is no additional airfare for stopping over in Iceland, whether that be on your outbound, your return, or both. You can simply stop for anything up to 5 days at no additional airfare. The only difference would be is the cost of any hotel or accommodation you book in Iceland. I've done many stopovers in the past where I've flown to Norway and stopped for a day or two and then onwards to the USA. Or when I went to the USA, I've stopped in multiple destinations and I feel that it makes a much better trip. I don't have the ability or the time to stop over in Iceland this weekend, but at some point in the future I will take an Icelandair flight and make my way across the pond with a stopover in Iceland, either on the way there, on the way back, or potentially both, depending on the cost of accommodation, because accommodation in Iceland isn't the cheapest. It is fairly expensive. Things in Iceland are generally expensive, but it's one of the places that do look spectacular. I think if I had it my way, I might stop more in the winter than I would in the summer, because I love the snow and Iceland's covered in it. I know that you'll be able to make a snowman no problem easily in Reykjavik.
Dear passengers, Captain will be starting our descent in a short time. Estimate landing in about 25 minutes. Will be landing 2:45 local time Keflavik, and weather for Keflavik, it's windy weather from southwest with some snow showers, temperature -3 degrees centigrade. We'll be on the other flight with us, thank you for the company. Thank you.
Dear passengers, we are now starting to prepare for landing. so please use this time to rearrange and stow away all hand luggage. Use the lavatories and please check the seat pockets to make sure you leave nothing behind. Icelandair supports the Special Children's Travel Fund, and with your contribution you enable children with chronic illnesses and their families to go on their dream vacation. If you would like to make a donation, there's an envelope in the seat pocket and you can hand it over to the cabin crew in queue.
The onboard toilet is rather small. It's clean, but it's small. In the style of what can meet in, you could maybe fit 2 or 3 people maximum. And this baby changing facility is rather small for larger kids.
Dear passengers, please fasten your seatbelt and ensure that your seatbelt footrest, armrests and tray tables are in locked position and that window seats are open. All hand luggage must be stowed in the overhead compartments or secured up the seat in front of you. If you're seated in an active row, all hand luggage will only be secured in an overhead compartment.
Dear passengers, Captain, again, there are some snow removal progress in Keflavik Airport, so there's a slight delay on our landing time. We're estimating to land in about half an hour from now. We'll be landing 5 minutes to local time, Keflavik.
Most likely we'll probably spend about 10 or 15 minutes flying around in a circle just while we wait on the runway to reopen at Keflavik following a snowstorm. Well, even though I've got the 4 S's on my boarding pass, and that'll be on my bag tag as well, indicating I'm in for additional security check, this was not completed in Dublin as I was flying over to Iceland. So most likely after arriving in Keflavik or before I depart Keflavik, I will be in for an additional security check, which will be done Icelandic style. As I've never flown through Iceland before, I've absolutely no idea how that will be done, but we'll see, and I'll be sure to share that with you a bit later in today's vlog once I've been and left Keflavik. Well, as you can see on the moving map, that is us very close to Keflavik Airport. So it says that we're now at 10,000 feet and we're expected on the ground in about 10 minutes, but it's not updated since the captain told us to be a short delay to the flight. So I reckon it'll probably be another few extra minutes on top of there. But anyway, it really won't be long before we're landing in Iceland, and from what I can see out the window, it's already looking very white. It's -9, but it'll be -3 on the ground. As we remain flying in our stack at 10,000 feet, you can initially now start seeing parts of the ground and how white it is down there. So as we start coming out of our stack in a few minutes time, we will then start making our final approach into Keflavik, where I'm sure we'll see plenty more snow to come. So I explained before I'll be using a 4-step plan when I arrive in Keflavik. So step 1 of the plan will be gathering my personal belongings together and making sure I exit the aircraft when we're on stand with all my personal items. Step 2 of the plan will be locating where my next flight will depart from. Step 3 of the plan will be getting any drinks and snacks I need for my next flight. And step 4 will be getting to the new departure gate on time in preparation for my flight onwards to New York's John F. Kennedy Airport this evening. As we're flying in a stack while we're holding for the airport runway to reopen at Keflavik, you'll find it will start going round like we're in a multi-storey car park. We'll start making right-hand turns and we'll keep making the right-hand turns. And once we've been given clearance to make our approach towards Keflavik, we will come out of the stack, and each time we're dropping down it will be between 500 and 1,000 feet, and then we'll begin making our final approach to Keflavik Airport, where I anticipate we'll see more snow. Well, if you're ready, here we go. We're about to start turning right again anytime now, so we're ready to go. Let's go round again. Maybe we won't turn as many times. Here we go again. One more time. Have you ever flown on Icelandair and taken a stopover in Iceland on the way to North America or Europe? Or have you had a stopover with another airline where you stopped over for at least 1 or 2 days and done some exploring? If you have, be sure to share details of your trip in the comments below. To reduce down the time of the vlog so I don't spend 20 minutes showing you us going round and round in circles and making this vlog last forever, I will be sure to share another video on YouTube of my Icelandair flight where you can see the entire approach into Keflavik when we're going round in a stack and we're having to hold. So we're now out of our stack and our altitude has reduced right down, that we are now on our final approach to Keflavik Airport. So looking outside and looking at the distance left to the airport, we should be down on the ground in the next 2 or 3 minutes. As we continue our approach towards Keflavik Airport and as we're dropping altitude all the time, we are starting to get to see that Iceland is a lot more white than maybe what I anticipated. The only thing that isn't white is the water. So we'll keep looking and seeing how white it is, and then maybe in a minute or two we might actually see a road. Lots of snow. It may be very, very white here in Iceland, but some of these views look absolutely spectacular. And it's just a shame I'm not actually leaving the airport at Keflavik, because I'm sure I could have made a snowman or two at least in Iceland. But unfortunately I'm on a stopover flight and I don't have enough time to exit the airport, build a snowman, then come back through the airport. Otherwise, believe me, I would do it without any hesitation whatsoever. So actually I can see we've got a road down there that's just a break in the snow, and it shows you how white it is. It's only that one road that's the only bit that's not covered in snow. So we'll continue our approach into Keflavik and we should be down very shortly. I think we're going in now. No longer circling. It looks funny because all you see is snow down the road down there. Some cars going on. If you were having a stopover in Iceland for 1, 2 or even up to 5 days and the snow was like this, would you be stopping to have a snowball fight or making yourself a snowman? Be sure to share details of this in the comments. I know personally I enjoy the snow. It might be cold, it might be chilly, it might be frosty, and it might get you absolutely soaking wet where you're freezing when you take your clothes off. But for me, the snow doesn't come around that often, very thick in the UK, so when it does, it's about making the most of it, as soon enough it will disappear and we're back to cold weather with no whiteness on the ground. So if you enjoy the snow, be sure to tell me in the comments what you tend to do with the snow. Is that you enjoy playing snow fights, building a snowman? Is that with your friends, your family or your kids? Be sure to mention in the comments and I'll be sure to get back to you. As we continue our final approach into Iceland, we're now at 2,500 feet and we're descending towards the runway here at Keflavik. So it has reopened after the snowstorm. As we can see, there's no snow present. However, I anticipate there will be a lot more snow when we're on the ground in Iceland and we might get to see some snow flurries. So in the next minute or two, I anticipate we will be landing in Keflavik and I'll be sure to share that with you. So we'll see on the ground whether everywhere is clear or whether at Keflavik Airport it's been like I've seen before on YouTube, where there could be mountains of snow and ice, but aircraft are still landing, taking off and taking passengers onto their final destination. After I land in Keflavik Airport, I've got 3 hours before my connecting Icelandair flight onto New York. So I believe I'm going to be getting a security check. I'm not sure whether that's when I land in Keflavik or when I depart. But outside of that, I've got just under 3 hours to explore Keflavik Airport and make sure I get to my next flight on time. When I checked flight radar earlier today before I left Dublin, and I've checked again while I've been in the air, it does indicate that the aircraft I'm flying on over to Keflavik this morning will be the same aircraft that takes me onwards to New York's John F. Kennedy Airport. So that is subject to change when we're on the ground in Keflavik, but if it remains the same, we'll be flying on the same aircraft and I'll be leaving the seat I'm in to come back to it about 3 hours later, because I'm booked into the same seat for my next flight on to New York. The only thing I'm hoping is that when we're in Keflavik, the aircraft is recatered and more cheese and ham baguettes are loaded on. As long as they're on board, I'll be sure to be having one of them on my way to New York, as they taste absolutely amazing. It's a proper baguette filled with cheese, filled with ham, and as much as it looks hard and crispy, it is soft that you can give it to a young child to enjoy. And it went down a treat with the tea I made back in Dublin. So when I'm in Keflavik, I will be using any machines I've got there to make myself drinks for while I'm there, and then making a drink for my onward flight. As much as I can get a drink from the crew on board Icelandair, I often find that when you get hot water from them, because the kettles are never cleaned out on board the aircraft, they can have a bit of a distinctive metal taste. So it means the drink isn't always that great. I drink large drinks, so I might be able to taste it a bit more than in the small airline cups. So I try and avoid that at all expenses, and I make sure I make my drinks in the airport before I get on the aircraft. So just like I did when I showed you at Dublin, I made 2 drinks, one for the flight and one for having at the airport, and I'll be doing that here in Iceland. The only thing is, I'll probably use one of my metal cups when I get on the ground, and then I'll go to where there's outdoor. I think they've got an outdoor smoking area where I can go over, lift off the lid, and that'll help cool it down quicker than it would inside the terminal building. And then I'll be sure to make one just before I go to the boarding gate, which will then see me through the first couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours, into my New York flight. So then I'm only having maybe some fizzy juice towards the end of the flight, then it doesn't irritate my belly like it often does. Well, as you can see, we've continued descending, and we are now just moments away from landing in Keflavik. The in-flight map is telling me that we're at 250 feet above Iceland, and we're on our final approach into Keflavik Airport. So as you can see, everywhere is covered in white, including houses you can barely see so well because it's mostly white you see around them. And the road that we're just passing there, we can see the actual tarmac is black with bits of snow on it, but that's the only place it's not pure covered in white. So we're now about to land, probably in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1... Wheels down, and welcome to Keflavik Airport here in Iceland, where it's just after 10 to 2.
Passengers, welcome to Iceland, the home of Icelandair. The local time is 8 minutes to 2. Please keep your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt signs have been switched off. And take care when opening overhead compartments, as objects may have shifted during the flight. Information on collecting flights can be found on monitors inside the terminal building. For those passengers continuing to destinations in the USA or Canada, please remain in the T area, as you do not need to go through passport control at this time. For all other connecting flights, please proceed to passport control. We do hope you have enjoyed the flight with us, and thank you for choosing Icelandair, and have a pleasant day.
Everywhere here on the ground at Keflavik is white, and you can see that there's frost and there's ice, and our aircraft isn't actually taxiing slow. We're taxiing to our parking stand at a very reasonable speed considering the weather conditions, and that's purely because pilots here in Iceland deal with this every day of the week for about 4 to 6 months a year. They have snow, so they get mega great practice at taxiing and flying in these conditions, that if anything it just makes them able to taxi much faster than maybe some of the pilots we have over in the UK, where they'd be a bit unsure because obviously the ground conditions. But here in Iceland, it's just like a normal typical day over the winter months. As we taxi to our parking stand, now is a good time for me to make sure I've got all my personal belongings that's been in the seat pocket or plugged in or sat here with me, so I can gather them all together. And once we parked on stand and the seatbelt signs are off, I can gather my belongings from the overhead locker and make sure I put everything in there and I don't leave anything behind. As much as I'll be on this aircraft in about 3 hours time, that can change, so I'd like to make sure that I definitely have everything in case we do end up on a different aircraft. I was hoping one of my flights today would involve flying on one of the pink 737 MAX 8s, as for me they look really cool in this weather conditions. However, it might not be today, but you never know, I might be flying on one of them on Monday or Tuesday when I fly back from New York, connect here in Iceland for my flight back to Dublin. So we're just a few moments away now from parking on stand. It looks like they have a lot of remote stands here at Keflavik. So we may well be parking on a remote stand and then get a bus which will take us into the terminal building. So we'll be sure to find out in the next few moments once we get on stand and can see where we're parked. As we slow down considerably in our taxi, it can only mean that we're close to getting on stand now. So I believe in the next few seconds we'll be pulling up on stand, and from the window here I can see there are 3 ground crew that looks like they're waiting for an aircraft, so I believe we might be parking up here, and we'll know in the next few seconds if the aircraft comes to a stop, and we are stopping here. So this is no doubt our parking stand. So looking here, I don't see us attached to any air bridge at the terminal, so I would assume that we will be using buses to get into the terminal building. Well, the seatbelt signs have now been switched off, which means we're definitely on stand, and I'm going to get up and gather all my belongings together. So I've got a bag in the overhead locker, which I'll be sure to get, and start putting my personal items in there. Now that's one job I wouldn't mind doing, is working on the apron of an airport, and these conditions wouldn't bother me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Well, we're now on board the bus and we're now ready to depart for the main terminal. So as we drive across the tarmac here, we'll get to see how white it is and how icy it is. When I stepped off the aircraft, went down the steps and made my way onto the tarmac, I could feel how much snow and ice was on the ground, and you could hear the ice as you're walking over it, which may well have been heard in this video, and it does show what extent they operate here in Iceland. This would never be allowed in the UK because we just won't operate. We get a little bit of snow on the runway and suddenly the airport is shut. All flights are diverted or they're cancelled, or they're sent back to their departing airport if they're already in the air when the runway is shut and there are no other airports that can offer them the ability to land. So we should only be maybe another minute or two, I would like to think, before we get into the terminal building. And it looks like they're doing quite a bit of construction work here at Keflavik, which is why this gate over here on the right hand side may well not be in use. We can see there's a Play Airbus taxied at present towards the runway. Play are a bit like Icelandair. They do offer flights from Europe connecting in Keflavik and taking you onwards to the USA and Canada. The main difference between Play and Icelandair will give you 2 cabins of service, being premium and economy, and in economy you get free tea, coffee, water and soft drinks. While Play only offer an all economy cabin with no included services, so no drinks and no snacks included free, and many of their flights go to secondary airports in the USA, so they're a bit further away from the city.
US class to the US, only to the US.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed this Travel Day Part 1. I hope you can join me in Travel Day Part 2, where I'll be flying to JFK. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in Part 2.